Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world today. Thanks for watching. Today, we're going to talk about when could Bitcoin hit $80,000. We're going to look at some historical data which could help us point to when that 80K level will be breached, and also we'll look at some TA, which also could lend support to that, okay? And certainly before we do that, we're going to look at hitting that, smashing that, whatever you want to do, as long as that like button gets clicked there. That certainly does help the channel get out to more people and does help support the channel. And I really do appreciate all the wonderful and kind comments that people do leave below in the comment section below. It does mean a lot to me, and I certainly do read and respond to each one of those. And of course, all the questions that get asked there, I do look to get back to those as soon as possible. And the cheat sheet, if you look in the description of this video here, and also every video that I do, actually, I get asked where is my cheat sheet, which is my roadmap to crypto success, and that is linked in the description in the cheat sheet. Lots of trades in there. There is free resources, there's links, there's also free airdrops, there's stocks there because we've got the stock show coming up on Sunday tomorrow, so don't miss out on checking out that as well. And of course, we've got the Stocks with Josh Discord link, the most amazing Discord on the planet. That is also below in the cheat sheet, as well as below in the description. If you'd like to join us there, I'm in there every day, and so you can, I'd love to see you in there. Okay, so what are we going to look at? We're going to look at Bitcoin monthly return. If we look at November and halving years, and if we would take the average, and we don't have a lot of data to go by, but if we take the average of that, that would push us over the 80,000 threshold for Bitcoin. And so are we going to see more, though, like the 42 to 43% gain we saw in 2020, or are we going to see a little bit more of a relaxed, smooth 5% gain that we saw in 2016? That would be very, very interesting. It's important to note what comes after in December. So certainly if we did not see, if we saw more like these returns here, which would push us into the, keep us in the 70s, or these returns here, which would push us well above 80K. If we took an average of the two, obviously we get into that 80K region in November. So if we have lower and slower progress in November, but we take off as usual in December here, as we see these bigger gains that are here, then obviously it's going to be more likely that we see the push. And if we actually look at November, the actual overall gains, whether it's a halving year or bullish or in a bull run year, certainly it has been the best month for Bitcoin historically in any year. So November is the month that we could see potentially this happen. And if it's not November, then the strong likelihood is that we get there in that December timeframe. But certainly November right now would be the favored month this month to see those returns come in. And certainly, as I shared yesterday, if you missed yesterday's show, we talked about November data. And the data for November is this, that in the three halving years that we've had previously in 2012, 2016, and 2020, the lows were in on the 2nd of November, the 3rd of November, and the 2nd of November. Today is the 2nd, so twice it came in on the 2nd, most recently in 2020, and then also the low came in on the 3rd. So will we see the low this weekend? What do you think? Leave below in the comments for the November low. Is it coming this weekend, either today or tomorrow, or maybe it just kind of just peaks into Monday the 4th, because the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 2nd were also weekdays as well. Will the low come in on the weekend on November the 2nd and November the 3rd? That is the question that we want to discover, because historically, whatever the November low has been in a halving year, Bitcoin has always never gone below that low by the end of the year. And certainly these monthly returns do lead us and do show us that this has generally historically been the case. So this could be the last opportunity to buy Bitcoin at the current levels. And if you look at the TA here, so far, Bitcoin is going according to plan. After a move to 72, Bitcoin is now testing the 69 support. If this level holds, Bitcoin could rise to 78. Look there, 80K. So we have some TA there that could lead us up to that $80,000 level, as we've been talking about for the month of November, and it has coming up here into December. So this November-December timeframe is what we're looking at to crack over that $80,000 level. But you know what I thought was really amazing is this chart here. And I've not seen this one before. Every US election week in Bitcoin's history has been the lowest price it will ever be again. 4 days left, tick tock. So you can see here, all the way back in 2012, Bitcoin was $11. $11, people. And it never came back down below to that level ever again. In 2016, we had on the election day, it was $719. It was too expensive for too many people at that price. And of course, now it never came back. There was a few times it came close, but it never came back to that level ever again. And then in 2020, it was $14,902. And it got close. It got close when it came down to 16,000 and change, but it never came back down to that level ever again. Therefore, if history repeats, we're likely to see the Bitcoin low in around these first few days of November. It's likely to be the low until the end of the year. And when come election day, whatever the Bitcoin price is on that day is likely to be the low that we will never see again if history repeats. Will history repeat? I want to know your thoughts in the comment. What are you thinking about it? And are you looking to loading up final purchases before takeoff over these next few coming days, November 2nd and 3rd, and then there's a few another days before the election happens, just in a few days' time. So there you go. But what's been happening in between that? We're going to look at some liquidation levels, because as you can see here, Bitcoin at 69.3, loads of bids below. I understand many of you are nervous. This is just some liquidations by the market maker. Too many degens went long with high leverage, because there's 8,606 Bitcoin limit orders sitting here just below where we are at the moment. So if we go to the liquidation heat map, what can we find? Well, who could have predicted this? Look what happened. Look what happened yesterday. I said to you, I wouldn't be surprised if they came down and grabbed the liquidity down here at 69,000, and even a little bit lower at 68, as we peaked into 68,000 yesterday. And that's exactly what happened, okay? I mean, look how it happened over here. They came and took price here. Then they came up and took all this money here. Now they've come down and taken this money. Now there is a little bit more below price here at 68,700, 68,500, 68,400. Liquidation levels 68,000. There's still 17 million of liquidations, and even down to 67, there's not a whole lot down there. So this is the area that I'm very interested in. Above price, we have high amount of liquidations at 70,500 at 89 million there is sitting. And if we move to the 24-hour here, we can see there is a bright yellow line. Again, a lot of liquidations there at 70,300, 67 million, and 70,500, 89 million. Below price, look, there is some there, just a little bit below price, 69,100, 16 million. Then we have 68,400. We've got 34 million, and then just a little bit below that, 35 million as well. So you can see how the market is going, and you can see here we've on the shorter time frame, we have a lot of liquidations right below. I wouldn't be surprised if we came down and took this yellow out. Of course, can we come up and take this first? And that's the question. It's quite possibly that the market makers know that these heat maps exist, know that people like myself are sharing this information and are going to come out and take this first at 70,500 and then drop it down to 69.68 before taking it up again. But you can see here there is plenty of liquidation. There is more liquidation levels above. Certainly, as you can see here, this just shows you more obvious how they're taking out all the liquidation levels. There is some down. Again, there's 98 million on the weekly chart at 68,200, and there's more below here as you go down, 67,500, and there's still quite a bit down at 66,400. So these are the levels that we could then wipe out, but obviously massive amount of liquidations up at 73,000. Even at 74,000, there's a lot of liquidation. So let's look at the charts and see which way are the market makers going to move the market first. Are they going to liquidate the longs first to the downside, or are they going to come after those shorts to the upside first before pulling the market down? It seems to me that probably the more logical move is to continue a bit of a flush to the downside first, but we could just see a lot of chop up and down like we saw yesterday. Look at this candle, up and down, just wiping out the longs, wiping out the shorts. We could see a little bit more of that price action leading into the election. And look at the tribal trades trend line strikes again. I was going to move this trend line. I thought we're above the trend line. Maybe it's not in play anymore. And look what happens. I've had this trend line in play all the way back to May when I started this channel, okay, and the tribal trades trend line strikes again, and certainly we see it coming down and supporting price at around 68,700. The other tribal trades trend line is just a little bit below at 68,200. Look at a lot of where all the liquidation levels are, and then we have I haven't drawn a trend line here. I've just drawn an alert here, but this is another trend line here, basically, that we see that is lined up with the September lows. And I actually probably now will put this trend line in here, not the September lows, but the September highs, because this now is becoming a critical area here that we see of support and could possibly be resistance if we drop below it. We can see here, this was the September high. We've come into it, tested it, held a support, tested it. Certainly, if we come down and keep testing a bunch more times, we could break lower. And remember, generally with a golden cross, and we've seen this with other altcoins and with Bitcoin historically, after we have a golden cross with the 50 moving average going over the 200 moving average, we do usually see Bitcoin come back and retest that 50-day moving average. And certainly this is moving up all the time. Right now it is 64,900, but by the time it comes down and tests it, it could be at the 66,500 level, which is a massive level to hold as support there. If we do come down, we may not. We may just come down and grab some of this liquidity at around the 68,000. Maybe we wick a little bit into 67,000 and then come back, close above these tribal trades trend line here at 68,200 and again at the 68,900 kind of level here before taking off to 80K and then off to Valhalla, people. Okay, so this is not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? We are coming into what historically has been two very bullish months for Bitcoin. Let's see what shakes out. I'd love to hear your comments below on what you think November and December holds for the Bitcoin price. Do you think we see 80K in November, or do you think we see it in the Christmas rally in December? I'd love to know your thoughts on when that 80K is going to be breached. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up today. And so until the next episode, which is the Altcoin Show coming up in just a couple of hours, happy trading.